Hey guys, it's Penelope in London, and what we're doing, we're going to have a look at Pluto because I'm going to show you here. We have, I'm going to explain, Uranus is about transforming. So we have transform Uranus. Neptune is about transcending, and Pluto is about transmuting. Pluto is the total collapse and death of attachments, emotional, leading to a new choice and passing of old ways. So the way this works is that we will either be pushed into it, forced into it, or we will go about it in a uniform manner and we'll make our moves and choices based on the aspects that are going on in our chart. So for instance, if we've got a square, it can be a bit tougher. If we've got a trine going on, then, we're going to look at our own aspects, not on this chart today, but this is really strongly, that I have to say this, that we look at the chart as a totality, not just Pluto on its own. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go forward here. And we're going to look that we have, I'm not going to discuss this too much today either. What we're going to be looking at is Pluto has been in Capricorn since January 2008. And it's going to be moving into Aquarius, and it's going to pop back into Aquarius. Then it's going to go retrograde a couple of times before moving fully into Aquarius in November 2024. But this is a big shift for humanity, because if we can imagine that we're 2024 and we go back to 2008, that means that we've had 16 years of Pluto in Capricorn, and we can see that Pluto in Capricorn, what it was going to do, I'm going to explain after I've read this bit here. So Pluto retrograde, 26 degrees of Capricorn, will go retrograde on April the 27th, 2021. Pluto will then go direct at 24 degrees Capricorn on October 6, 2021. The average retrograde days are 162 days. And when we go retrograde, we go inward. Some of us were born with Pluto retrograde. I was. I've got about 4 planets retrograde at birth. And then others were born with Pluto direct, so it affects people differently. As it goes retrograde, I'll feel at more home in the world, because I'm operating at a core with Pluto retrograde anyway. We've got Pluto moves into Aquarius in 2023, then it goes RX, which is retrograde, and then I think 2 times, then it goes retrograde twice, and then it moves fully in November 19th, 2024. Now, here's a little bit here which is interesting information for everybody. So Pluto is retrograde 6 months of the year. Number 2, Pluto retrograde links in with the non-acceptance of the status quo, allowing for collective evolution. So when it goes retrograde, it's going to link in with our non-acceptance of the status quo, which will be interesting to see how it plays out this year. It's a retreating from the existing states of affairs and the collective and society's definitions. Number 4, retrogrades are where we rewind, review, and release. Number 5, the Pluto retrograde individual must do things their own way. And number 6, one evolves at a faster rate, but to view also, we must view what evolutionary state someone is in, because we are all at different evolutionary states. It doesn't mean somebody's better than anyone else. It's nothing to do with that. It's just to do with our consciousness and what we've allowed, looking at our shadow work to come up from the unconscious to be dealt with. Number 7, Pluto retrograde is internalized and withdraws. It's about inward work. So when it goes retrograde, it's what's happening more inwardly inside of us. Number 8, Pluto relates to that which is unconscious in us, brought to the surface through internals and external events. Number 9, Pluto retrograde creates a distance from the self and the observer, so it allows for inner reflection. And number 10, it's a desire to eliminate that which is not needed, to return to source. That's the ultimate of it. And number 11 is a sense of dissatisfaction, which allows us to move through to new things. So when we're dissatisfied, stuff comes up from the unconscious. We experience, endings, the end of a relationship, jobs, and, certain things, and that allows new things to come in. So we don't want to resist, these are all what, as number 12 says, what we resist persists and can cause suffering. So when we know something's come to an end, naturally, like an old car that's had it, for instance, as an example, or a job, you know, then we don't resist letting it go. That's the whole point with Pluto. Otherwise, it's pushy. Number 13, it's individual and collective dissatisfaction with the retrograde when it goes on. And number 14, unconscious needs evaluated and a stripping away to clear the road ahead. So that's something else that will take place. And number 15, it accelerates the elimination of separating type desires to ultimate satisfaction. So now what I'm going to do is go to the emanated chart here, and I'm going to show you currently, if you can see, I'll get my pointer. For those who know about Pluto and those who do not, Jeff Wolf-Green, Evolutionary Astrology, you can get book Pluto 1 or Pluto 2. And I've been studying this stuff now since 2016. Pre that, I was studying, but never as seriously as I've done now. I've probably, you know, at astrology 25 hours a week plus learning. And as I learn, you know, it's data collected in my being, so then I can look at charts and learning from other astrologers as well. So you can see here we've got Pluto currently today, right now, at 26 degrees, 29 of Capricorn. And if we go back to here, 2008, actually, I'll just put in 2008 to give you an idea on this chart. So in 2008, it was at 1 degree. Let's go back by a few weeks. So we go back, and it was retrograde then. So let's say that, as an example, it was 0 degrees in 2008, and it's where it's at now. If we go years ahead, we're going to go by years. So we're going to go count the years. You can see up here, this is 7th of June 2008, and we're going to go forward 1, 2, 3. And we're going to come up to 2021, where we are now. Now we're going to take it to March. The date is the 22nd of March here. And we have that. Okay, wrong format, so give me a moment. 22nd of March. I'm going to do that whole thing there. And bring it back to today, 21st of March. There you go, getting my days all mixed up. 2021. Okay, so here's Pluto right now. This, what we have, Saturn is squaring to Uranus. We've got this all year. I'll bring that in because that's a lot of push-pull. It's moving, it is in a square, and Saturn will go retrograde and then it will go direct again. So this is going on for the whole of the year, and this is to do with our structure. Saturn, it rules Capricorn, but it's at 10 degrees Aquarius. It's going to go back to 6, and then it will move on. But this is the whole year, so we want to break free of limitations, and we're being stopped. Saturn rules the 10th house of Capricorn, and as a result of that, that's to do with the government and rules and regulations and the archetype of father and such like, and it's restricting us because it's applying to the sign of Uranus, and Uranus is about breaking free of limitations and past trauma. But let's look at Pluto. So Pluto moved into Capricorn, as we know, if you don't know, on January the 25th, 2008, and it's going to complete its time in Capricorn on January 21st, 2024. If I've got that date correct, I don't know, but let's see. It's going to go in and then it's going to retrograde. So I have got that bit wrong. It's going to retrograde and then it's going to finally stay in the sign of Aquarius in November 2024. I think it's the 19th of November 2024, or November 19th, 2024. And then it will end its cycle completely in Capricorn. It has been responsible, in Capricorn, it has been responsible for dismantling structures. And no doubt we've seen this with COVID. It's speeded up, it's helped speed up the dismantling of the structures that we have of government and such like. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, being restriction and teacher. And we did need change really desperately. And there is no normal that we're going back to, that's for sure. And Pluto in Capricorn is where old cycles and phases are coming to an end. Here we need to be active, have active self-reflection. We need to examine all of our internal and outer structures and realities that are being experienced. And it's a time of contemplation. And in contemplation, we can acquire new self-knowledge. So we could see that with its last leg in Capricorn, Pluto, that we've been forced into lockdowns, which means that we've had plenty of time for contemplation and to acquire new self-knowledge. In looking at the structures of our life, we've then been able to eliminate things that no longer apply or work. So a lot of us will know that we're not going to go back to work that we've been doing, even though it may be work that we've done for many, many years. We've decided that that structure is no longer working for us. And a lot of people will be working from home. When we look at doctor surgeries and things, people are now able to get appointments online. They don't actually have to attend a doctor's surgery, as an example. So it's completely been dismantling restructures in order to build them. So we don't want to tear everything down. We want to keep what's good and then keep going forward. So then, in looking at the structures of our life, we eliminate what no longer applies or works, all patterns included, and this includes our emotions and our intellect and our physical, because this is also to do with Capricorn Saturn, and our physical and our spirituality. Because our physical is also, Saturn is Capricorn, it's the bones, it's the teeth, it's our structure. We need bones in order to have a body, as an example. Changes lead to new cycles. Here we can look and see where our own responsibility lies, which is very Capricorn, and responsibility to ourselves as well, instead of just passing the buck to governments. And also we have a chance to acknowledge our own actions and reactions. So how are we, our actions and reactions having an effect on the world, like the butterfly effect? This is not a time of blame. It's a time for deep reflection, which we've been doing. Growth can occur, but existing responsibilities and obligations must also be looked at. So we just don't just walk away and break down structures. We've got to look at things. This is also a time to look at our own judgments, because Capricorn is very much about judgments, becoming aware of our own judgments. We've seen that a lot with Black Lives Matter and our judgments about with regard to the atmosphere and global warming, and the way we treat each other in general, and judgment, and how we treat others. It's looking at our own actions and thinking, our shadow, which is really important. That was the work and is the work of Carl Jung. So when we look at our shadow, we can then release behaviors around our judgments that no longer apply, because there are judgments we've made that are imprints that no longer apply. And also we have attitudes. We need to look at our attitudes to see what applies and what does not apply. Here, when we're reflecting, it helps us to release all that is outdated. And we can also then become aware of what is preventing our personal growth, because often we prevent our own personal growth and it's really nothing to do with others. And I think lockdowns maybe given people the ability to see this as well. This period can create feelings of emptiness on a personal, and give us a sense of meaninglessness, which I think it's done for people as well. Even with regard to religion, where people used to show up at churches and they've been sent to look for their own inner God, or the sense of what God means, rather than doing that in a collective way. There can be feelings of feeling wearied, and that, can lead us to deeply reflecting and looking again at what needs to change. This is a time of deep soul searching, and it will allow us for us to restructure our lives so it can be given new meaning. And we want to become aware of how the past has played out and how it is playing out in our now. It's a time for redefining what is old, so the new structures are built. Forms and structures shape our inner and outer reality. Pluto in Capricorn also covers our own authority and our career. We need to ensure that our career contains potential and allows us for full self-expression. So we need to do this. We need to get doing stuff that allows us for our true self-expression. And when we look at the shadow, we also begin to drop our own mask as well, because we're not blaming, we're not projecting, we're looking inwardly. If work does not fulfill us, we must process and create the necessary changes. And this could mean new careers or redefining our current career. We need courage with this. We need courage. What we need to check in on our judgment of self that is based on our parental judgments or the judgments of society. There can be unfair self-judgment, and that can harm us. It's important that we look at at our own judgment towards ourselves eye to eye, and eliminate that which is stunting our own evolution and growth. And some judgment is relevant, but most of it's outdated and useless. I'm sure a lot of us can see that, that it comes from imprints. And if we can put ourselves into action to evolve, we need a total redefining, and we must eliminate all that is outdated. And the positive here is a new phase is beginning as this comes to an end. Capricorn in Pluto also. It was the beginning of a new phase and the ending. It requires perseverance, self-determination, and it's the courage to, go forward, and so that a new life will occur. So what's going to happen? Let's take this years ahead. We're going to go 1, 2, this is 2023. And this is 2024, this is March. So it will go into, let's see this in days actually. We're gonna go backwards now. And I'm going backwards by days, which might be a bit of a, there you go, it's 0 degrees. You see here, it's going backwards. I wanna get it back into Capricorn. Okay, so there it's on the 18th of January 2024, it's in the sign of Capricorn. And then we're going to go forward. 1, 2, 3. Well, there it is. It's popped into, there you go, on the 20, it's gone into Aquarius. And then as we go forward by weeks, watch this. We're going to go forward by weeks now. We're going to go forward because it's going to go retrograde. If we go forward, it goes, and then at 2 degrees, it's going to go retrograde here. And it's back in 13th of September. And if we keep going forward then, it looks like we're going backwards, but this is November. And we're going to go backwards now by days. And I'm going to show you that last degree. There you go. And there it is. On the 19th of November, 2024, it's going to be in Aquarius. So what have we got to look forward to? Pluto in Aquarius is where, if you have this placement, this is what the definition. Pluto here is where we sever all attachments that bind us from further growth. And it's the severing of attachments that accelerate growth within us. So what society is going to be doing is that we are going to be, as a collective, severing attachments that no longer serve our growth. And we may feel restricted by ones that we have, and we may feel cramped. There will be a sense of being restricted, and that sense will create inner compression in our consciousness. So if we feel restricted as this happens, which we are doing now, we're feeling restricted, we can't travel, we may have to have a vaccine. Some people, and I know many who've taken it, many who don't want it. I've got my own views on that, but it's not for this video. And then we've also got the changing of governments. We've got the USA is going to be having its Pluto return, pre this happening, by the way, this move into Aquarius. So compression, the good thing about compression is that it forces us to open our consciousness. So this is what's going to be happening for humanity. There will be the wish and desire for individuation. So individuation doesn't just mean separating from other people, but it does mean sort of becoming whole. And in order to become whole, we have to rip off our own mask, which is metaphorical that in 2021, 2020, we've been having to go around wearing masks. So when we become whole, we no longer wear that mask. We free ourselves from it. And we look at our own shadow, and we step up, and we become our own parent, our own parenting. So during this period, which is going to happen, and Pluto actually is going to stay there in there from 2024 to in Aquarius to 2044. And during this period, all that has been repressed, including past life memories and future, come to the forefront. All is coming to the surface to allow the individual the required freedom from the past that has bound them, where we've been bound. This is a time of freedom from consensus reality. And here one will detach at regular intervals and will have a deep desire inside within. Alone time will be required so that one can objectify and have the space and time to view the dynamics that have led them to this time. So we will be reviewing what led us to this. What is our own truth? What do we really feel? And when one detaches, we then can survey our lives, and we can look at our lives in a dispassionate way, because it will be in Aquarius. And then we allow for analysis to occur. And then we can You know, we might feel insecure with regard to future thoughts and where our impulses may lead us. We may feel that we have no control over our impulses. You know, we might be freaking out a bit. We want to be free, breaking free of limitations. The ruler of Aquarius is Uranus. A feeling that impulses have a desire of their own. We might have a sensation where our impulses, you know, to just break free, have their own life. Those impulses have a life of their own. It is a good time to monitor repetition and to go toward actualizing thoughts that keep repeating themselves. So if we keep getting a repetitive thought, for instance, if the repetitive thought is, you know, I've really got to have my own business, or I really don't want to live in this country anymore, or I really want whatever we want, you know, it's breaking free of limitations, taking ourselves to the next level. This will clearly be different for everybody, because some people will be in consensus state and other people will be in a spiritual state. And you can read about that in Jeff Wolf-Green, Pluto, Evolutionary Astrology 1. You can get that on Amazon. The monitoring of external messages. So we have to look at the external messages from others, and because they will also point us in a future direction, because we are a collective. Whilst we want to individuate, we still have the collective and the collective archetypes. Others are external guideposts, and others can validate us. So, you know, other people, there are 8 billion of us, you know, we are guiding each other. The inner and the outer conditions or anything concerning the past will need to be confronted in order for us to be free. And due to circumstances, we may have clashes with friends or, you know, with society. There will be clashes because people are going to be having different thoughts, and we've got different natures that have not been resolved. There's going to be a great opportunity for resolution so that we can be free of our past karma. You can take that word however you want. I just see it as, you know, things that tidying up and cleaning up our current lifetime. That's how I see it. Confrontations are good because they do allow for resolution. So when we confront a problem or, you know, any issue that's going on in life, like the misuse, you know, the ugly things that go on in the world, and we confront situations and we stand up, then it allows for resolution. So not all confrontation is bad. And during this time, in this period, probably I would imagine it will be very strong when it moves into Aquarius, and as we begin this process and this work. And during this time, we can terminate that which is unresolvable, because not everything's, we can't solve everything. We can't solve every problem. And if we try and solve things that are unsolvable, then it can hold us back from future growth. It's like, you know, trying to stay in a relationship that's no longer working, or trying to make a business work that no longer works, as an example, or trying to fix a car that's really on its last legs. You know, sometimes it's just better to just, you know, let it go and buy a new one. It saves a lot of time. Same with the computer, as an example, as well, because things get upgraded. If one senses a natural parting of ways, then it's a good, you know, then we can end things on good terms. We don't have to end things on bad terms. It will also be important to nurture our relationships with those that allow and encourage us to grow and to be ourselves, and where others allow us to objectify, and where individuation is being encouraged. That's, if you want that, then you've got to move towards people that are allowing that. The need for endings of relationships is important. So that if we have that need, because then we allow new stuff to come in. And this is for humanity. This is huge. You know, this is huge what's going on. And the needed ending of some relationships, and then it's so that we can have an evolutionary leap. Others who have walked this path can assist us. So there are already people that have walked this path in society, you know, and we will find those people. And, you know, you will know those people that have already doing this work also, that you can link in with. Validation from others on the path will allow us the freedom from the past and assist us in shedding that prevents that necessary growth. So you may meet with people during that period that are going to allow you the necessary growth. They're not going to hold you in the past or hold you to the past. There may be a drawing of others who have the same needs, which that will happen as well. It can cause restlessness inwardly because we may not know if we're coming or going. However, you know, we've got to keep moving. It's also a time to encourage others' individuation and their growth. So we need to encourage others' own individuation and growth. And even if that means they're walking away from us as well, it's important that we don't restrict each other's growth, and also that we do not restrict ourselves. And it's all important that if we can, you know, leave things, terminate things on a good note, then we avoid any negative karma. And again, take that word as you want. You don't have to go into, you know, the being bad, a bad person or a bad boy or a bad girl or a bad adult, whatever. You just sometimes things we need to move on because they bind us to the past. And it's also a time, you know, for future orientated internal and external messages that are repetitive. Those are the ones that are going to send us forward on a large evolutionary scale. So we'll probably see great things happening as well in these 20 years. So watch this. I'm going to go years ahead now and show you this. We're going to go years. This is 2024, and I'm going to go ahead 20 years. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 2034, and it's at 16 degrees of Aquarius. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 2044. And in 2044, it will be in the sign of Pisces. So 20 years is incredible. I hope you've really enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. And I've got more work coming up on the Pluto retrograde coming up in due course. Thanks for watching.